Going off the tour route again.
This door?
Stay here.
Is it recording?
Yeah, this is the exit right here, you guys. You get lost. All right.
I wouldn't what?
Yeah, it's about, you know what, I tell people who get a job here one thing, and I tell them, quit your gym membership first, because, boy, it's 3 football fields long. But then the other thing, of course, is, yeah, you're going to get lost.
I just here.
Whoa!
Yep.
Those beds must have not been comfortable.
No, this is the 1940s birthing area. So this is what it would have been like in the 1940s. And this is a reenactment. It's not, you know, literally was here. The curator did this. So from that window, the idea was that you could see in here and see what it looked like in the 1940s. But if you notice a couple things, again, it wasn't air conditioned in here. You had no privacy. I mean, it would have been much harder conditions. One of the other things is sometimes you're sharing a bunk with somebody. They're out of rotation and you're getting in. I mean, the whole thing. So, but down in the lower decks, you have the modern bunks that we're using the Gulf for, and you'll see those are much, much nicer.
But Grandpa said you always took the top.
Yeah, I'm wondering why, because he's having all the
everybody got
crawling.
sick.
Oh,
You didn't want to be on the
that is
bottom.
true. I'm sure there's see, I don't want on the bottom because that way it would
Don't have to
wiggle so
climb,
much
but
every time somebody
my
gets in the
dad
bed.
said, you
Yeah,
always slept on the
I'll
top
believe
one.
it. I'll believe it. So that door is not original. That door was put in so guests could see inside and for a fire exit. But that would have been heavily armored, just like all the other doors you'll see aboard the ship. Then, if you look at this one, it's also armored. So this is behind 2 levels of armament, and you can see how thick the wall is. And the reason why is this is where all the top secret documents were transferred to the ship. So when we go in here, you're going to see that. There's even, just to give an example, there's a safe thing on the door. Padlocks and on and on.
They know we believe.
Okay, come on in. And you can see all the clocks of all the different locations.
It's really weird how quiet it is when there would be yelling and talking and everything in there.
Yeah, when the ship was in service, you would have the engine sounds. If you've ever been aboard a ship before, you'll know it's kind of loud.
A cruise ship.
Yeah, cruise ships make that sound. And then, yeah, all the people aboard the ship. By the way, back then, they could smoke aboard the ship. If you can imagine how gross that would be in some of these spaces. Yeah, exactly.
I would probably die.
Down,
If you didn't
down,
smoke, you ended up with lung cancer.
yeah, down in the lower decks, they have some officers' country down there where you can still smell the cigar smoke in the walls. It's pretty gross. So here, this is. So what you've got here is a renovation. So this is the 90s renovation. All this stuff was all added. You'll see computer screens. This is what it would have looked like in the 1940s. So that's a big difference.
Ooh.
Yeah, that is a big difference. No computers back then. You're typing on a piece of paper. And there you go. This is exactly what the room would have looked like.
And here's a telephone.
Yep. Oh, did you notice anything about it? Do it again. Still works. And everything in this room works.
Can you hear it?
So see over here, this actually is all operational. This is a radio club that comes here. They get onto the shortwave radios and they contact, and this is using our antennas. They contact other ships and people, anybody who wants to talk to us all over the world. So a little boy in Australia who's sitting there on a shortwave radio can actually talk to the USS Missouri Memorial, which is pretty incredible. And these guys, they love this, so they'll be here all day some days. If they're in here, you never know when they're in here because it's a club. But yeah, when you come in here, if they're here, they tell you all about who they just last talked to and all that. But you can see some of the
looks like
places.
someone's been here because water bottle and a
Yeah.
brand new monitor.
No, they love this. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Then right here is where all the top secret documents would have come through. Now, guess what you would have done in an emergency? You have all these top secret documents about troop movements and flights and all that. Now all of a sudden the ship is in danger. What are you going to do with all those top secret documents? They're all locked in this room in the middle of the ship.
Yeah.
They put them in that bag. You know what that bag's for?
What?
Go feel it. You notice anything about it?
It's heavy.
It's heavy. And why would be something heavy at sea?
There's a man right
So you can
here.
throw it in the water.
Huh.
And it would sink all the way to the bottom of the ocean with all the top secret documents in it. That's exactly what that's for. Isn't that crazy?
Why would you do that?
There's another way that top secret. So when there is no danger, do you know how the top secret documents were destroyed? There's only one person aboard the ship that can destroy them. Who would you trust?
Maybe an officer?
An officer would be a good answer.
Chaplain?
Chaplain. Chaplain was in charge of destroying all the top secret documents, and down in the lower deck, there's a furnace just for that. It's quite an image to imagine the chaplain down in the basement shoveling top secret documents into a furnace. Yeah, but the captain obviously would be taking his...
Yeah, this type confused me on school. You said that you had these like...
Yeah, no. Yeah, and back then you had to, it wasn't how it is now. You just typed yes or no. Yeah,
Awesome.
that's all it did. It
All
was,
green screen.
yeah, all green screen. Very boring. All right, well that's the radio room. And again, this is the modern. In the 90s, this is all the equipment that they had. So there's really nothing to see in there. It's just a lot of earlier computers. Pretty neat. All right, watch your step as you go out. Come down. I'll go first, and it'll be perfectly safe. You can't fall if I'm going first. There you go. And you like this. You do that? You're welcome to go down forward if you want. I'm here, so you're not going to fall. Just go real slow. It is air conditioned down here. There you go. You got it. Easy, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that would be. Now you got it. So there's a really neat thing just right here. A lot of people miss it, which is something I'm trying to work on. But this is the cruise room, and that name is misleading. It's one of the problems. Cruise room. What does that mean? This is actually artifacts from the crew that they donated. So when you go through here, it's all set up in a linear fashion, and you can actually see things that people gave to us. We have a lot more, but this is the display we have right now.
Launching on January 29, 1944. Margaret Truman was the feisty daughter of a feisty senator named Harry Truman, who happened to represent both Missouri and a key committee involved in defense expenditures.
Your vintage soda machine. In the other room, you have your modern soda machines.
So the modern one wasn't in here. You just put it in.
No, this was from the 90s. And they all, this worked, so they didn't get rid of it. That's why it's
Because
still there.
they used the ship again during the first Gulf War in early 1990s.
Now, this is interesting. So, without a guide, you don't really know this. Some people don't stop and read these signs, so they'll enter into this space and just wander through. But a chief petty officer, every day when you had, if you were an enlisted man aboard the ship, who did you go to get your orders? Did you go to the captain? Probably not, because you would have to talk to 2,000 guys. So you went to your chief petty officer. Chief petty officer is in charge of an area or a thing aboard the ship. So these guys are very important. These guys run in the ship every day. And when you come in here, this is their space. You got the ship's library, and that's all original. That's all how we got it. Those are all the books that were there.
So even though these are blue floors, the chief petty officer was still...
Yeah, we're in there. There's some bunks and things in here. You'll see some right here. But you know, this room now is made into a museum. I don't know what it originally was, but the next room is the real point of interest now.
Looks like we're jumping shaking.
Yeah, this room isn't in particular about the chief petty officers of the USS Missouri. This is just explaining what a chief petty officer did and their importance aboard the ship. And we still have we actually still train chief petty officers here. They come for an entire week and they train here, and then they have a ceremony when it's all over where they get their rank. This is the really neat thing down here. So this is the Chief Petty Officer's Lounge, and this is the biggest lounge space aboard the ship. So when the ship was designed, they designed this into the plans because they knew how important it was to keep the Chief Petty Officers happy. You're welcome to sit down. The curator actually does this on purpose. You're welcome to come in here, see what it felt like. Look at that old TV. Can you imagine? And this is the room where if we turn off the fans, you can still smell the cigar smoke. Yeah. You can kind of smell it. It's like a sweet smell you can smell. But this room would have been full of smoke. There's poker playing over at the table. And like I said, one of the really crazy things is that magazine rack is built into the wall. They knew that this was going to be a place for relaxing and lounging. And it's very, very important. No, I was not. I am blind.